back to Transform Z, another LinkedIn Live with us. So today we have a very interesting topic. But before that, I would quickly like to apologize that we were not able to go live for last couple of weeks, and there would be a break again coming for the next few weeks or so due to an emergency back at my home. But apart from that, just a quick introduction about Transform Z. What we do is we try to bring in various transformation stories where we can help you to understand how you can approach digital transformation. So, on the same lines, we have Srikumar with us, who has recently launched a book, and we'll talk about the book, and we'll talk about what is there in the book and how we can approach Microsoft Power Platform. And we are actually gonna pick up a case study where we are going to automate a particular process. We are going to break it down for you in various steps so that you can understand. But quickly, first let's get an introduction of our guest. Shri, over to you, and welcome to the podcast, please.
Yeah, thanks. First, let's make sure you can hear me correctly.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, awesome. Welcome, everyone. Good morning to you. I have a cup of tea here shared on the screen. That's all I can do here for the time being. I am a Principal Group Program Manager with Microsoft. And as Ashish mentioned, I'm here to talk a little bit about the topic that I cover in my book, specifically about digital transformation with Dataverse for Teams. You will get to know what is Dataverse for Teams. But let me start by telling you that this platform is a very powerful platform. It's a low-code, no-code platform, which means you don't need any of the professional coding skills to get started. Everyone has an idea, and you are waiting on learning coding skills. It's going to take ages for you to kind of catch up if you're not familiar with any of the coding languages. In next few minutes, you will be able to see how quickly you can build some apps and digitally transform your processes and make them faster in your day-to-day life. So I'm going to break that down in a while. Over to you, Ashish.
Hey, thanks, Sri, for that quick introduction, and welcome to the show again. We are going to talk about the low-code, no-code tools, and specifically about Microsoft Power Platform. There is a hype, I would say a right hype in the world outside, where people are generally trying to understand more of these low code no code tools. How they are definitely making life easy for for people who do not know coding and just the business side of people. I can vouch for I can vouch for that, because me myself, though I come from a coding background, computer science background, but I am not that good at code. But having worked with financial services companies where I have gone on to help them to automate their processes, build product for them, I think the Power Platform and the the capabilities it has brought in, it makes it very, very seamless and very, very easy for a person who doesn't know coding at all. So I'll let's share your thought process. How do you feel about the whole ecosystem developing and where we are at present?
Yeah, Ashish, I think I would say the time is ripe. The time is already overdue. Everything that we had to do with low code, no code, I will come to it. But digital transformation is where I start here. So let's get started here quickly with the topics that I have to cover here. I'll give a little background about digital transformation. I wouldn't spend much time, trust me, because most of you are here because you appreciate why digital transformation is needed. I'll just quickly touch upon the low code, no code platform ecosystem, how things are evolving, who are some of the players that are already there. Of course, I'm going to talk about Power Platform, Microsoft Power Platform. Then I will get slowly into Dataverse for Teams, and then pick up a case study and give you a demo of how you can quickly solve one of the problems with Power Platform. Believe me, by the end of this show, you all are going to be like citizen developers, and citizen developer is another quote unquote, I would say, again, so much of a term that you keep hearing in the low code no code world. The term actually refers to someone who's not proficient with coding, or someone whose daily job is not to write professional code, but has a lot of ideas and can automate their own processes, their own problems by trying to put together some quickly built apps or chatbots or Power Automate flows I'll try to cover all three of them and build something quickly, and we'll see how successful we are, but in the interest of time, but we'll try to cover as much as possible in the next few minutes here. Okay, let's move on to the topic of digital transformation. Every one of you have different definitions and stuff like that. I cover about my first chapter on the book is totally about digital transformation. I just bring some core content from there into this to explain what digital transformation is. Again, the digital transformation definitely has to focus on advancement, using or leveraging the advancements in technology to continuously evaluate and improve your processes, your customer experience, your product experience, and then definitely above all the employees in the organization. Now, when I say employees in the organization, this is referring to all types of organization, be it a school, a college, a hospital, a non-profit. It doesn't have to be the corporate world. So believe it or not, any organization that exists, more than two people that exist and work on common goals, you can think of this as an organization, and there will be common processes that you need to automate. There'll be common products that you'll be building. Those needs to be go through the digital transformation. Now, this is where I like to pick two quotes here. The first quote definitely comes from Jack Dorsey, which you must have been aware of. He built Twitter, he built Square, and such products. What he refers here is saying everyone has an idea, but it's really about executing the idea. And in this session, we're going to cover about, we're not going to teach you how to think about an idea. Obviously, everyone is built differently, but what we can definitely think is once you have an idea, how to put that into action is what is going to be learned here. Now, the first hiccup whenever we talk about an idea to put into implementation is, where do I start? And that's where the next person comes into picture who talks about Steve Jobs, right? And he's given an example: start small, build smaller things, and then, but thinking wise, you have to think what you got to solve bigger problems, but break it down into first principles or the smallest items that you can build. And how can we take it? Like, take handful of simple things that you can solve, and eventually you will see that as you keep building of those things, you're self-learning, and as your confidence improves, you'll be able to tackle big problems of the world. And of course, that's what he's saying by putting a ding in the universe. No, so yes, everyone wants it but can't achieve it, which is what we are talking about digital transformation. Everyone, right from the corner shop where you go and pick your grocery to the big corporates of the world, everyone wants digital transformation. They want it on steroids, but can't achieve it. How do you think this is going to happen? Some CEOs, some CTOs sitting 7 seats apart from where you are working, things about it, but when it comes down to your level, there's obviously a lot of red tape that comes into picture, or a lot of logistics, a lot of finances, budget, and everything comes into picture, and ultimately it kind of sometimes is a failure or success depending on how well planned or well executed it is. But one thing that is common is that the need for it, right? Everyone wants it. When I say there is like at least 500 million more apps that will be created in next 5 years, I'm quoting from one of the references in the Futurescape IDC magazine that comes out, the article that came out. And then of course in United States alone, I myself face this problem when I want to hire program managers or software developers in the world, in the company. There is always a dearth of talent, right? You cannot have so many developers spring up overnight. And plus, all of them have to be equally good that they can build world-class applications with the highest quality, with the highest availability at cloud scale, at planet scale. It's going to be a challenge, and that's what we are trying to portray here. To meet this demand, what do we need to do? Of course, when you can't hire developers, leverage the people that are already in your organization, give them more skills, give them more training. The good thing about what we're going to talk in next few minutes, Power Platform, is there is not much training. There's not much ramp up. There's no need to train everyone from scratch, right? As long as you know basic skills like PowerPoint skills, how to put together 2 slides, how to write simple formulas in Excel, you will be able to build and automate things of that you're actually working with. Now, this could be somebody who is submitting expense voucher for a day-to-day life, somebody who's just scanning receipts and data entry jobs of looking at something, putting the value in something into the system, digitizing your records or something like that, right? All of these processes can be digitally transformed by us spending just a few minutes on the new platform that we are going to talk about. Of course, that's what we're talking about. A citizen developer definitely is a person, as we talked about, not a person, somebody who writes professional code every day, but somebody who can be trained to build these low-code, no-code apps. Okay, I'm going to take a pause. Ashish, do you have a question or something?
So, not yet. It's just that all of this, I can actually concur with the thoughts which you have shared as of now. That we actually in the digital transformation journey, there are a lot of problems, right? People problem, process problem, and we can sort a lot of process and tech related problem, but people related challenges are always there, and such kind of tools are going to solve this particular problem, and we are on right track. We can continue.
You bring up a good point here. People are a problem, but look at the problem as an opportunity, right? Like as you must have heard, never waste a crisis. The crisis actually comes from the fear that, hey, if I automate this thing, I might lose my job because I'm no longer relevant in the process. The good thing about the Power Platform, or the thing that we are talking about here, is leverage those same people, train them. Again, training also seems to be a very hard thing for people who have been used to doing their job in a certain way. The good thing about this year is the learning curve is not steep. It's something that you already know every day. It's just learning about a few new things and then immediately putting that into practice to your own benefit, that you will start appreciating. So the people feel more valued, people feel more, and believe me, this is a very addictive platform. Once you start building things on this, you will get sucked in like no time. So there's a fair warning that I want to give it to you as well. So that people problem automatically becomes an opportunity. You have so many people, plus the new generation that's coming in. I cover a little bit about that in my book as well, that the new generation that is coming in is not going to sit idle waiting for some developer to come and solve your problem. As long as they are computer literate, they are aware of finding things out and just figuring things just by learning and curiously clicking around, that's all it takes for you to kind of learn this platform here.
Right.
So thanks for bringing that topic up here. Again, low code, no code, as we said, low code, no code simply means there is no coding involved. And in some cases, they're actually very low code written, because obviously when you're integrating with some of the business critical applications, you might need some bit of code that might be needed. But again, those professional developers in your organization might have already written libraries and stuff that you can just reuse. So that's why this platform is typically called as a low code, no code application. Typically, you will see Gartner also refer to it as LCAP, low code application platform. But that's basically the essence of it, right? And by 2025, again, as per the one of the magic quadrant that Gartner always publishes every year, for 2021, they in the article that they published, or the white paper that they published, they're already claiming that by 2025, 70% of the new applications built in enterprises will be leveraging low code, no code technologies. And that's a significant data point, right? And up to less than 25% is already, that is happening in this year. 25% is already built on low code, no code, which means it's rapidly expanding, and the footprint is just going to grow because of the need that is there and the supply that is getting throttled, obviously the supply of professional trained developers. Now, so who are some of these, what are some of these low code, no code platforms that you will see out there? I'm going to cover Power Platform, so I just listed there. In no order, I'm trying to say one platform is better than the other, but I know about Power Platform, so I will just cover that. But there are fairly good players as well, like Maindex is one of the leaders, along with Microsoft, that's put in the leader quadrant as per Magic Quadrant. Salesforce, another competitor for Microsoft, APN, AppSheet. Google, by the way, had two AppMaker and AppSheet. They acquired AppSheet earlier this year, I believe. And now AppMaker is deprecated. They just use AppSheet. Of course, Amazon cannot be sitting on the ring and seeing the show here. They have also jumped in, and they have a beta product called as Honeycomb that's also in the market here. Of course, the list is not exclusive. There is tons of other people also in this area. All of them have some positives, and some of them actually came even before Microsoft or some of the big technology firms here, and they are doing a phenomenal job in this field here. What is differentiating here is definitely what I'm going to talk about, Microsoft Power Platform. It's a single platform that combines the power of Office 365 that most other competitors do not have. Plus, it also leverages the power of Microsoft Azure, which is the cloud computing one of the bigger cloud players in the world. So you get the power of Office, which gives access to all the information workers, and then brings the cloud planet scale into picture. And so Power Platform in that way is unique, that it packages the best of all these two worlds already that's out there, and then brings them down to the business application platform layer, which is what is shown here. Now, what is Power Platform when you talk about it? It's actually a suite of products. The suite consists of Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents. I'll start from left here. Power BI must be a familiar product for you guys. When you want to build reporting dashboards and stuff like that, you build it on Power BI. Power Apps is again an application development platform. We're going to quickly see what that means. Without any code, you can build applications, apps, and those apps are apps that work on any devices. You don't have to build a separate APK package for Android, or you need to learn Objective-C to build iOS applications on Apple phones or something like that. It's build it once and leverage it on any platform anywhere in the world. Any device form factor, be it a tablet, be it a laptop or a phone, it will just work magically. The platform takes care of. Power Automate is the automation platform, which kind of helps you build background jobs and stuff like that. Again, through a WYSIWYG control, you don't have to write any code there. Power Virtual Agent is the one that helps you build intelligent virtual agents, which are like chatbots, right? And as I said, if time permits, we'll try to see all three of the scenarios here. And then underlying, there is data connectors, which help you to connect to the different data sources. When we are doing the demo, I'll show you the value of those data connectors on how they come into picture. Power Portals is just the portal technology, very much like you can stand up a portal for the entire world to kind of share about your business, digital presence, as we say, right? In the pandemic, any businesses that did not have digital presence learned the lesson the hard way, right? So you got to have a portal that talks about your business to the world. There is a way, and that's Power Portal. You can build using templates. You can just build your portal in no time, right? There are a lot of products out there, but Power Portal is also one of the strong competitors or contenders in the from the Power Platform suite that I wanted to call it. AI Builder is another one thing. AI, when I say this is about artificial intelligence, we talk about a lot about these AI assistants like Alexa, Siri, and all those things. You would think you need a lot of code to write this. Like there are machine learning models that need to be created. They need to be trained with lots of data and stuff like that. But what Power Platform does is it democratizes that AI models also by making it a low-code, no-code thing here, which means all you're doing is in your app, you're just taking pictures of, let's say, just you have like this bottle here, right? So you will just scan 5 pictures of these bottles. The model will automatically run, which is called as object recognition model. And then next time you show the bottle, it can recognize that, oh, this is the bottle that I know about. So it will automatically scan and it will capture it. Now, if I have 2 different size of bottles like this and this, and you train it with 5 different images of the blue bottle, that long bottle I showed, and the short bottle I showed, the apps that you build will automatically build to scan it. And next time you use a handheld device and scan using your app, the model will automatically capture that, oh, this is a long bottle versus a short bottle. Those things are extremely helpful in inventory management systems where you have to scan multiple things and keep track of the count of inventory as things go in and out of your warehouse. That technology is also getting democratized here. You do not have to get trained, do not have to be a data scientist to write your machine learning model or train them or anything like that. But that's the power of the Power Platform here. Of course, then comes the most crucial part of it, which is where do we store all this data? Where is all the heart of the system? Is actually in Dataverse. And that is what we're going to click down a little bit more on. So if you look at what is there in Dataverse, if you double click it and try to zoom in, what is in there is it's actually a storage tier, which has all the different polyglot storage systems, which contains your relational storage, table storage, file storage, and then of course big data, kind of like key value pairs that you can store. Of course, there are big data storages also that comes in there. I've not shown it here. But then there is also the logic tier. How do you have APIs, which is basically what professional developers look for integrating business to business situations, right? Then we have a lot of integration tier for massive data movements in and out of the system. Of course, we will not cover most of these topics in here, but it's a full-fledged data platform is what I wanted to cover. Now, if you take that Dataverse system and then you put it into Teams, so you get Power Platform plus.
Can we take a question on the last slide?
Yep.
Yeah, there's a question by one of the users. So they are saying that where do startups can use and also can collaborate? Because I think there is a collaboration platform where startups can put their product in, and that can be used by multiple other clients from the Microsoft. Power Platform does have a role to play in that.
Yes, I would say there is opportunity for startups and accelerators programmers there, but I'm not representing Microsoft here to talk about it. So I will probably ask you to reach out after the session to talk about those programs here.
Yeah.
But startup, as I said, right, even if two people are collaborating, you call that as an organization, there is opportunity to leverage this program or the platform into building something cooler, and obviously not just building, but also improving your existing processes.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we saw about the data platform, the Microsoft Dataverse platform that we were talking about. Now take that platform, put it into Teams. You have the best, one of the best collaboration remote work platform that is out there called as Teams, where you do now have all your communications. You do not have in-person offices anymore. Most of people are still remotely working. And then right there, you have ability to, in that same application, you can have apps to build. So on the left side, what you see is you are able to build the app for your team. And on the right side, as soon as you build the app, you're also able to use those apps. Like, for example, what I'm showing there is an invoice capture application that's running right inside of the Teams itself, right? Where you can capture those invoices. Now we'll try to do the demo of the same particular application so that things become much more clear. And now that's what I'm trying to show in this slide is that power of Dataverse from Power Platform when merged with Teams is why it's called as Dataverse in Team or Dataverse for Teams, right? So that's pretty much on the slide portion of it. Let's get quickly into the case study. I think we are doing fine on the time here. Yeah. Any more questions, Ashish, before I move?
No, we can start.
Okay. I want to make sure you can see my screen here.
Okay, we have one more question where they are asking that if they download Power Apps, is that fine, or there are multiple applications to be downloaded to start using this?
So Power Apps is not an installable or something. You can actually go to make.powerapps.com on the browser and start using it there itself. What we're going to show is the Teams portion of it, Dataverse for Teams portion, where the entire power of Power Platform is available in the Teams. So you can actually see how it works right now. You don't have to install anything. You just go to your general Teams. I'll show you the regular Teams window here. Let's start from scratch. I'll start from scratch and see if we can make it more interesting. Let me know if you can see the screen as I'm building this.
Definitely. Yeah.
I'll just call it team transform just for the sake of it. While it is going to take some time during the creation, you can see I had some teams already created. Now the team transform is created. I need to add users to it, right? I am logged in as office user, which is my name itself, so it won't recognize. Let's see, there's another guy in the organization called Shri. Obviously, this is all test tenant. Once you log into your own tenant, you'll be able to see every user in your organization who you can make teams. I'm sure you guys have already done this at some point in time, or you were added to some teams if you're using Teams. So let's say, as I said, two people. I am the owner of the team, and then this guy Shri is actually the member here. Once our team is created, this particular option is like something like where you collaborate and then the other person can respond and stuff like that, right? This is the regular thing. And then this is where you collaborate on common files and other things that you want to upload, which actually sits in a SharePoint repository behind the scene. Let's quickly jump to Power Apps. On the left side of the railing here, you will see Power Apps by just looking for it. I've already installed here, so you won't see it. I've already pinned it here. Let's unpin it for a minute here and show. So you can see Power Apps automatically starts coming up, right? I'm going to just pin it back here. The reason I pin it is so that I don't have to keep looking for it every time, right? Once you pin it, you can pin Power Virtual Agents, Power Automate as well. Let's see if we can do Power Automate as well here. So I'll do a right click and pin it here for the time being. So Let's jump to quickly Power Apps here, right? Now, what we're going to start is build the app and then kind of look at the usage of the app, right? The case study that I want to pick up is the very simple one. I'm not a finance expert. I'll just try to pick a very simple scenario. Like in finance, when you're dealing with it, you have invoices that are being submitted, or for that matter, every one of you must have submitted an expense for approval from your manager or something like that by your finance department.
Right.
We're going to look at that scenario. So let's go to the Build Hub in Teams. Once you have Power Apps, let's look at some of the scenarios here. When you go to the Build Hub, you can actually see all of the Power Platform. Somebody did ask about the installation portion of it, right? You did not install anything. Of course, you had to install Teams to get to here, but I did not install Teams also. I'm actually in the browser version of the Teams. So teams.microsoft.com is all I do. And I sign in with my organization account and I'm here already. Here you will see all the apps, chatbots, cloud flows, and tables that you will build. Of course, the table thing is where I will start just to kind of demonstrate the power of it. Typically, when you have some collaboration thing, you start putting together things in an Excel and saying, oh, let's create an Excel to keep track of the expense or invoices, right? Let's see how it becomes. I already have some table just in case of I'm running out of time. I can quickly show you how it was built, but let's make sure we build it the right way. Let's call this one as our expense table where we'll capture everything, right? There's of course more details about what you can do and stuff like that, but in the interest of time, let's start with this. There's also a place called primary column. I will call it as expense number just for the sake of it. Doesn't matter. Much of the details you can ignore for now. This is just going and creating a table, very much like in SQL, because SQL is what Dataverse uses behind the scene for tabular data storage, right? You have your expense table created. Very simple expense table created is like, it has the expense number, which is the column that we created. Let's create a few more columns like expense ID already exists. Expense item. What is basically the item that you're going to expense it for? It's a text field. You can do much more options, how much length and stuff like that, which is obviously a luxury thing that you can do later. Let's save the table and then add one more column. Meanwhile, I just also wanted to see if I can convert this column. Instead of text, I can actually make it as an auto number, which means I wouldn't be asked to put a number. I can actually do a string prefixed or a date prefixed or a custom. It also takes regular expressions, like if your company is Contoso or if your company is like some superb sales or something, you can just say SS or something like that, right? But here I'll just keep it as a simple one, saying EXP. So you can see the preview of examples of how the numbering would happen, right? It starts with 1,000 and stuff. The seed value is basically where you started. I can actually make it start on 10,000 as well, right? And then you will save this. One thing missing is definitely, actually, we think we'll need two columns. One is the cost or the expense amount, and probably an image field to store the receipt, scanned receipt of the expense that happened, right? So let's quickly create that as well. One is the expense amount, I would say amount, which is going to be currency, and it's recommended. Of course, you need to make it required in most cases because amount is needed. You will see the data values and stuff like that. And then the next one would be your receipt that you're supposed to scan. Here I will actually take image. It does allow 10 kilobytes, which is like roughly 10 megabytes of storage of file size. Save the table.
So we have just created the data storage as of now.
You just created a simple Excel sheet kind of thing. You will quickly see it here. If you are doing it in Excel, you will see this pretty much, right? Right. Now Now let's look at the clock here. It's around 9:37 my time. Obviously, it's yours, like 11 o'clock something, 11:07 or something. I'm going to start creating an app right on there. The app is going to help me capture the invoice, edit the expense, basically capture the expense, edit the expense, and then maybe delete also, right? Simple forms that you would actually take a developer at least a month to build such applications with fancy UI and stuff like that. Here I'm going to create, let's do a tablet format. Say expense app. The real magic is going to start now with data. Look at how it automatically connected to the table storage. This is the magic of the connectors, right? Now, if I want to connect to any other data sources, the connector automatically makes that connection. I'll show you how to make different connections also if time permits, but you can connect to like 500 plus standard data connectors in the world are already pre-configured. You want to connect to Oracle, you want to connect to DB2, you want to connect to Amazon Redshift, any data source, not just Microsoft data source. All you will need is just the credentials to join or connect, and then you will actually start seeing it here. In this, we created the expenses table, and that's it. The magic starts in like in a minute. You will have your app ready, and you will be able to start using it right away. And that's pretty much what the magic of the Power Platform. There you go. Your app is ready, right? You have a new record, and you have all the fields in the thing that you wanted. I will actually start doing a preview. Here is where you can actually test it while you're building it. Let's start with a new record here, item 1. Amount is, let's just say 109.00 something. I want to add a receipt. I just have some sample receipts that I took pictures of. And then I'll just save it. My first record is in the system here. This is just an internal tracker for row ID. I can actually get rid of it as well, but pretty much.
Sorry, can we get the amount and item also to fill up automatically, seeing that how many items have been added and it just
That's the optical recognition AI builder portion of it. I haven't used it. It's probably not yet available in the Dataverse for Teams version, but the full Power Platform version, which would be on your make.powerapps.com, you can totally ignore the Teams portion of it and come here and build full-fledged apps. Here you will get all the goodness. Exactly the same experience, exactly the same things here that you will see, but just that here, there's a subtle nuance here. Here for using Power Apps, you have to actually buy the Power Apps premium license. Whereas here, you're leveraging your same Office license because you're in the realm of Teams. So think about it as Teams became richer with Power Platform being added with your Office license. So if you just have an Office 365 license, that's all you need to build these things. Now, I cannot say whether we will bring all those AI features also to Dataverse for Teams tomorrow. That's possible. But as of today, it doesn't support most of those things here.
Got it.
Okay. But pretty much that's what we did. I'll just create one more for the sake of actually showing edits and stuff like that, right? The other one was 999. Let's add one more. Let's just say this is another one, and then save. Now, if you look at this, it actually added these records. I'll exit the preview mode and I'll show you exactly what it's doing. It has a write container. It has in there, it has like an edit form. And then that is on screen 1. It's doing it it's a single screen application where it's trying to do the edit form, as well as it's doing the update form, as well as it's doing the delete form as well. The same button, if you look at it, it's a formula that is already written. If you get conversant with the platform a little more, all it's doing is on select, go and update the context and delete it. It's basically what the formula might look overwhelming when you look at a pre-built application, but if you're starting here with your own application, it's pretty simple, and it wouldn't look so much of an overwhelming thing that you might think about, right? It depends on where you are like at that point. If I do a new and then exit here, I will actually see that here all I'm doing is a submit form. So it's a simple submit form, and that same icon is getting hidden and replaced based on what context is being passed. A little bit of algorithm is used there that you can figure out once you start getting better at it. But so far until now, you have not written a single code. You have not even updated the formulas. Everything kind of worked magically for you. And that's the power of this now. Now, that's the Power Apps portion. Let's get to the Power Automate portion, which is like automations. When somebody submits an expense report, I want to get an email kind of thing, right? Or I want to be notified. Let's look at that scenario here. We'll go back.
We have a question on this. So when we have built this thing, is there a way that we get a URL and people can start? So of course it's in team. You can share it within the teams, and they can start building it. Let's say outside of teams, is it possible to share and people can work at it, or it's just available in the teams and whoever you have added in the teams will have access to it?
This is actually a Teams application built for teams within that team. And as I said, right, this was value prop that we as Microsoft Power Platform team decided to add to Teams to make it more compelling for remote work scenarios and making Teams more richer. Mm-hmm. That's what has happened here. But imagine, like, if you give a free floating URL that is outside of the boundaries of Teams, you are required to have a Power Apps license, right? Which means obviously that the Power Apps value cannot be just diluted by all the time putting it into Office 365, right? So of course you will be able to share the link. If I create an app here and then share that link here, then of course that is going to happen here. So you will see so many apps that I have created here. Those definitely you can just share the links right away. I just have a test app here that I'm going to open. I don't know what it's there, but just to show you that it's obviously a test app. It didn't work. But if I had apps here like beach tickets or something like that, let's see if it works. So you will see I am signed in as an Office user. It's going to prompt me to buy a Power Apps premium license. Right. I have the premium license on the other user that I have not signed in because I was not planning to show this. But yes, once you have this app link can be copy pasted from the URL and shared with the user, provided that the end user of the app has bought the Power Apps license.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's jump to the automated flow portion of it. Let's build an automated cloud flow, which is, by the way, the name for Power Automate Flow that we are going to look at quickly. I am going to say,
just for the preview, like what we are going to do now is somebody, if a team member like me, if I'm sending an invoice, so that for the team which has built the app, they would be able to fetch it and will be able to store in that particular app.
No, this one is just going to be a simple alerting scenario. Okay. The storage is already happened in Teams. Once the alert comes, basically it's like you are a manager or you're a team lead, or for that matter, your manager approved and you just want to be notified that, okay, the expense report that you submitted 2 weeks ago, it's got now approved or something like that. So these are some alerting scenarios I just wanted to bring. There is tons of scenarios here. I mean, you can just imagine every time some activity happens, you can be alerted, or you can actually go ahead and do the next step that is needed. Like after the expense is approved, you probably need to kind of send it to finance for further approval or something like that. It will all automate that for you behind the scenes, right? This is like an automation platform altogether, again with a low code, no code scenario here, right? Now here, what you're going to do is I'm going to look for a Dataverse trigger when a row is added or deleted or modified, right? The triggers are already there. So when that trigger conditions are hit, this automated flow is going to wake up and start executing. That's what it's going to do. So I have done alert me. I just keep it much more meaningful so that I can understand what it's doing. So this is that canvas where you can come and play and how you design your steps, what happens one after the other, right? So the change type is definitely going to be on create for simplicity. You can do it on create, update, or any of the conditions that you can see here. Let's keep it simple for the time being. What is the name of the thing we talked about was expenses. You can make it at any scope because the flow can execute not just on the team or the organization. It can run on any of these particular thing. For the purpose of this particular thing, I'll just leave it at this one. You have advanced options for a professional developer. You can actually write OData filters like, okay, do it only if the amount is more than 10,000 or something of that sort, right? Or columns also can be selected. Show me only the expense amount or something like that, right? Those are things we will skip it for now. And then we will say, okay, what do you want to do when the row is added? I'm just saying, send me an email. So let's say send an email. You can see the connectors, right? Like, okay, I missed to show. Let's go back here quickly. These are the standard connectors, right, that you can think about, right? So it's able to do all those things like the built-in connectors, the standard connectors, the premium connectors. These are like AccuWeather, predicting weathers, right? If we have like SMS, you want to send text messages and stuff like that. All these things are already built. And then, of course, if you have professional developers in your organization, you can write your own custom connector to your DB2 or some legacy data store. Build it once as a connector, and then all your citizen developers can kind of leverage it in their flows to automate things here.
Right.
Okay, let's go back to our scenario that we were doing, a simple one to send email to. I will do it to myself just so that I can actually show you that the mail coming. And then the story here is new expense submitted. Of course, this is all your template of the email that you're deciding. And look how the dynamic values pop out automatically. Here, I'm going to take from that record, I just wanted to show the expense number. So if it's the expense number 5th, 005, it will show that automatic value, right? It'll say, hey, new expense report has been submitted. Now, the interesting thing is here, typically you would actually send it to your manager, right? In that case, there is an Office 365 connector as well, where I don't know if it shows up here. I haven't configured it here, but you can actually look up the Active Directory and find who your manager is. And then it will automatically say the submitters manager will be automatically looked up in the Azure Active Directory, and it will kind of send the email to that person here automatically. Okay. That actually, I remember here, happens through the Office 365 user. So you'll first determine get manager here in the first step. And then once the manager is obtained, you obviously have to sign in and then get that, and then pass on that value to here as a value from there, right? Here, obviously, the UPN is basically the Office user's UPN, which I do not have here. So that's why I'm not going to show that scenario here quickly. But as you can see, it's very easy to kind of build those building blocks and stitch together that flow here, right? And then in here, I can actually put the amount as well, which is basically the amount that we had submitted. Just to show that we can bring any of the variables that are there in Dataverse as part of your thing, and let's save it and see what happens next. Give it a few minutes to save. By the way, you can actually test it, and there is also a flow checker to test if there are some things that you missed out. Of course, something failed. Let's try it again. Okay. While it is doing that, we'll also come and quickly look at what other things can we build here. This one, by the way, we can save it. The app is being saved at this point, and it can be published to the team. Let's see what it's doing for publish. The expense app gets published right into your team, so that this was the building portion of it. Now it's being pushed out to the consumers to start using it. Here, I will add it as a new tab under my general teams channel, and then I will push it out. Okay, it's done. And this one has been saved as well. So let's park it here for the time being, and let's go back to Teams and look at where we added the expense app. In the Superb Sales team is where we added. Changes may not have been saved. I don't know which one it's talking about. But the expense app is now available right where you were talking about in general. Hi, hello, all these things were happening. Right next to it, you have your app that you just built is published. Now all the users of your app can start using this thing, right? And basically now let's see that flow that we built, that one that's supposed to send an alert is working as well here. I'll submit an item 3, and the amount was, let's say, 7,009 something. Let's take a picture of that expense and save it. Okay, perfect. Let's look at what happened here. All my cloud flows, they alert me expenses here. I can see what's happening with that particular thing. I do not see it triggered here. There are no runs. What does that mean? I'll need to see why it didn't trigger. Oh, it's still not saved, that's why. Okay, let's give it a minute or two for it to be saved. It's taking forever. Oh, looks like that came through. That's the alert email that automatically fired, right? Based on the new expense being submitted, we chose the user to send it to, we chose the amount, and that was the amount that was dynamically brought through from that thing, right? So we saw the app being built, we saw the automation that fired. Let's quickly, in the interest of time, also look at our chatbot, how to build those chatbots here, right? I don't know how much we'll cover, but let's quickly see how much we can. But obviously this one had saved. It just took time for it to trigger. Let's quickly look at the chatbot scenario. Now the chatbot scenario is interesting. Chatbots already has pre-configured topics like hi, hello, greetings are already there, exits, thank yous, and all those things are already pre-built for you. You are building your expense bot scenario here. Create it. It's going to take some time, but first thing you need to ask is basically to author your topic, basically the core topic that you're going to talk about, right? The simplest example I can think about is like how many expenses were submitted today, kind of a question that you want to ask to the expense bot, right? So those scenarios will come up here. I don't want to explore at this time. I will like it's like as soon as you create something, it's already there and you can start testing it, right? It starts showing up, I'm a virtual agent and stuff like that right here. Of course, I can modify and author, like change the topic and stuff like that, but that's a secondary thing. Let's start on the core topic that I want to create here. So these are the pre-built topics that we were talking about. I don't know what happened here quickly. Okay, the topics here are, these are the pre-built topics: goodbye, start over, thank you, simple topic, right? Like here, I'm going to start a new topic saying the expense count. I'm just going to put simple phrases. Basically, whatever phrase is the one that chatbots will catch and then answer based on that, right? And it will go to the authoring canvas and you will actually see some of the interesting things here. So here, instead of having a message, what I can do is actually I can call an action. And in that action, I can actually go do many of the things based on the expense trigger that comes through as a phrase. And then I'm going to create a flow, calculate the number of invoices is something I created earlier. But here on somebody saying that I want something to be the count to be shown, I can actually go and do this Power Virtual Flow template, right? Now, this is going to be a little complicated as I start doing this, but let's say I'm just going to capture a number, and that number is actually based on value that will come from the query that I ran, and like how I showed the data versus number of rows and stuff like that. All I have to do is just issue a count there. Let's see if I can show you the data versus one. List rows, right? And then the table was expenses. And once I do that here, I'm going to just say length of the values. Basically, the list of rows that will return, I just want the total length, which means if there are 6 records, I'll just see the 6 records here. And the value is going to be expense count, and then I'll just input this value here and try to save it. So basically, whenever somebody will say expense, it's having a bad day. Let's do it. Whenever somebody says expenses, that phrase will fire. It will go and pick up the expenses count and then list me the count here. Okay, can we go a few minutes over, Ashish?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then here side by side, actually, we can test it as well. But this was the Power Automate portion where I did a flow to trigger. But here now, instead, when somebody says expense, I'm going to say, call that action that I built, which was calculate this one. I did not give a name here. Let's go to there and add that name. Or let's do it later. But that's the expense count number is going to be coming out here. And I'll delete this and instead I'll fire the flow and then I'll say, show a message, say expense count equals this number that I'm getting from the top, which is the value that I will be getting from the flow, right?
Right.
Pretty much that's what it is. And then let's see if it works. I have to just make sure it works in a short amount of time. It's still saving. I think we said expense, right?
Yep.
It fired, you saw the green thing going and it came back and said expense count is 3. So it did count the number of records in the system and gave you a value. Mm-hmm. So sky's the limit. You can obviously make it more, do more self-learning and build things like this. But that's pretty much what I wanted to show today. Thank God I was able to show everything. But then, as I said, right, we feel free to take a look at my book. It does cover a lot of things in details, right from the step-by-step apps that we built, the flow. There's more about Dataverse, what you can do more, and the licensing aspect, the administration and governance aspect also is covered in the book there. So go to Amazon and search for it and you'll be able to find it, okay? Hope you found this useful. Feel free to keep sending feedback on LinkedIn. You should be able to find me using the seminar link that Ashish shared. Any more questions? I can take a few more questions in the next couple of minutes.
So Sri, we don't have any questions, but I think a great session where people can actually understand how you can build very, very simple apps and can get complicated as they want. And I think there would be a lot to learn. And when I say lot to learn, like, to build better things over in the teams and outside in the Power Platform as such. And your book would definitely help that case, and people who might have gotten overwhelmed by the information if they are completely new to Teams and Power Platform, have a look at the webinar in chunks and try to go it step by step. See it first and then try to build something by yourself, maybe for something else, maybe account receivable or account payable thing, and try to build something. I think that would give you a hang of it, and you would, once you start to build a couple of apps, and we saw how many apps she had built, and that will give you the confidence to actually go ahead and start using this. And she has already said that it's addictive. So that means that it fills it does solve the purpose. If you want to know more and want to learn more, the book which she has published, I think that's a good book to actually build, your learning graph, and at the end of the day, become a knowledgeable citizen developer, which I think that will solve the issues and problems. At least I think for the mid-management level, and management to mid-management level, this would these apps would be really, really helpful, because you can automate a lot of stuff when you have to get things going.
Not just mid manager. Sorry to interrupt, Ashish. It is also useful for higher management, senior leadership teams also. Yeah. For example, if you have an inbox that is always full and you cannot stay on top of it, You can write Power Automate flows to write in such a way that you can send a text when your boss emails you, so that you can take that. Of course, there are Outlook rules and how to manage it. But if you don't want to be on your laptop and you just want to be alerted on your phone through text or something, there are a lot of productivity hacks for leadership team also that can leverage, again, senior leadership team as well. And even for somebody who's right out of college, like, hey, today is going to be rainy, I need to carry my rain jacket. Those kind of alerts flows are also kind of built using. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube that if you Google and find it, you will see people have built so much life hacks using these productivity tools that are out there.
Yeah,
So
kind of,
good luck with your journey. Yeah.
It's kind of Siri, which just tell you that what you have to do, not just like what's gonna happen. And thank you so much for that. And I think it was a great session, Sri. And we would love to have you back on the podcast again, and maybe we'll pick up another case. And whatever queries which will come my way, I will send it across. Feel free to reach out to Sri also over on LinkedIn. And if you have any doubts or if you want to clarify something. Thank you, Sri, for your time.